right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. Today is December the 19th. Merry Christmas to you all. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors of the Port of the Islands Community Improvement District. We do have a quorum here this morning, and I believe Ms. Hanson is also participating by Zoom. As is your custom, if you would please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Neil, Steve here. Just so that you know, I'm online for part of this meeting.
Very good.
I'll be here in New York representing the Gambino crime family.
Okay. With that, we should record indicate that both the chairman and Ms. Hanson are participating by phone. Item 2 today is the roll call approval of the agenda, and your motion should also include the participation of those 2 board members citing extraordinary circumstances. Any additions to the agenda? Sir. If not, then can I have a motion?
I make a motion we adopt the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a special guest today, and we will do this first as part of the public comment section. Your state representative, Laura Mello, seated to my right. She and I have not previously ever met, but grew up, spent her whole life in Naples, Barron Collier High School, and is currently your state representative in Tallahassee. We had a discussion at our meeting last month to ask her if she could come briefly to discuss the potential annexation of this community into the Greater Naples Fire District. That requires a special act of the legislature. It also approvals more at the local level. She is under an extreme time crunch this morning and came as a courtesy to us. So we're going to have her first. She needs to leave in approximately 15 minutes. Her chief legislative aide will be here for the balance of the meeting. So if we have other issues that are meaningful to come up under your portion of public comment, we'll deal with those in the accordance of that outline. So with that, Zach, could you just kind of tee up the legal memorandum that the board members who are here have received, and just kind of frame this issue, and then we'll see to what extent Representative Mello has comments.
Sure, and I think globally what we're also just looking for is a legislative outlook. We're going into session here in January, and there's some major issues that are quite concerning, which include property tax revision. And so in the memo I provided, that you all are in the Ochopee Fire Control District. This is an interesting arrangement because they do not provide fire service. They contract for it through Collier County to Greater Naples, which means your service is provided by Greater Naples, but you do not vote on Greater Naples commissioners, nor do you have the same millage rate as Greater Naples. Greater Naples has a significantly lower millage rate than you. The potential way to fix this would be expanding Greater Naples to include this area, which is, as I understand, is something that we're requesting or interested in. And so part of what I think we're curious to ask the representative is just a little bit about what we would need to do to help get that process rolling, how these conversations go. Because what we recently did and experienced was the annexation into the mosquito control district. So it's essentially that process. But there were a lot of things that happened in that process to help tee up the decision. And so I don't want to talk over your time, but that's kind of what we're toying with that idea. Is this possible? How would we go about doing it? And then generally anything about the upcoming session that we need to be aware of. And I'm sure the board members will have questions.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, my family came over from Coral Gables in the early 50s. My dad's siblings graduated Naples High, so I was born and raised in Naples, Florida, and about to experience 60 years here. My dad is an avid sportsman and loves this area, has fished here a long time. For many of you who don't know who I am, I managed to, hopefully you all voted for Amendment 2 on the last ballot, which was to protect the right to fish and hunt in Florida in perpetuity. And I'm the one that ran that language. Growing up here, I'm very passionate about it, and having the parents, thank you, having the parents that I was blessed to grow up with here that also love to fish and hunt. To Zach's point, we have some issues. Just to kind of back up with mosquito control, I still am getting a lot of threats and hateful email about expanding mosquito control. I don't really understand it because, you know, my job is to put it on the ballot and have everyone vote for it. And if the majority want it, then it's not about my opinion, it's about what you all want. And I had a lot of phone calls about how miserable it is out here. I have visited Alligator Alcatraz and Everglades City, which is also in my district. The mosquitoes are awful. And so I am happy that we were able to deliver. It took me a couple of sessions to get that local bill passed and get it on the ballot. Now, let's forward to the issue of this particular fire station, which is also, I'm in my 6th year in the Florida House. This fire station in particular has been the bane of my existence as well. Apparently, there was a lot of negotiation with Senator Pasadomo, who was terming out and leaving. I've had to sit down with FDOT and literally threaten them over this fire station because they wanted to close this fire station. And because the agreement that they have with our county is kind of an unusual agreement. They don't have the same agreement on the other side, close to the Miami line. Miami primarily pays for that fire station. This particular fire station is also paid through toll revenue. And the FDOT's argument was that during COVID, toll revenues were down, and so they didn't want to kick in the 1.1 million that they agreed to contractually. And you're the contract genius, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they did not want to pay that $1.1 million towards keeping that fire station open. And it took a lot of negotiation with FDOT and my county manager, who I have a great relationship with, to make sure that that station stayed open. With regard to, I believe it will take a local bill, and typically the language is presented at our delegation meeting, which is every year prior to session starting. With us having several House Joint Resolutions coming up in this session, I know we've all heard from the governor that he wants to eliminate property taxes, but we've not seen any type of language or suggested proposals from the EOG's office at this time. So what has happened is the House chamber and the Speaker have rolled out 5 different proposals for House Joint Resolutions. They're all working their way through committees currently in an effort. Amendment 2 was a House Joint Resolution, and so you will see or hear about HJRs as they move through and get to the floor for passage to be then put on the ballot for all of you to vote on. This idea of, do we want to pay property taxes, yes or no? I think all of us would go to the ballot and say, no, we don't want to pay property taxes. My own property taxes went up $1,700 this year alone, just even under a rollback rate. And so people, that to me is pretty outrageous. You know, we have a $2 billion budget in Collier County. The budget for the state last year was $115 billion for the entire state. So that kind of shows you how big of a budget we have here in Collier County. So I think that potentially looking at a local bill is a prospect that we could consider, but with having the potential that property taxes may be eliminated, that may change how we look at fire districts going forward.
Thank you. With that, our board members who are here have been probably more involved in this particular issue. Mr. Chucky, who's our vice chairman, is a retired chief of fire, battalion chief of the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin, so very, very well versed in that. Mr. Kish is a pharmacist, but a longtime resident here and has had particular concerns. So in the time that we have, let's see if the board has any special questions of Representative Mello before she needs to leave, because there's obviously this is going to be an issue that continues on into the spring. Dan?
Well, right now we pay probably 3 times what the body, Naples body, greater body there pays for fire, right? If we were to do an agreement without dropping property taxes, because I'm not in favor of getting rid of the property taxes. I think that benefits the very, very wealthy people way more than it benefits everyone sitting in this room. All right, we all would love to see our taxes go away, but proportionately. Getting rid of property taxes altogether is not proportional. If I live in a $300,000 house and someone lives in a $5 million house, it's way in their favor to get rid of the property taxes. So I think that if we saw something with property taxes, you'd want to see it proportionally, not just getting rid of property taxes, because that really benefits the people that live in very expensive places. All right, so if we go back then to looking at an agreement with the fire here, I totally believe that we should be in the same 1.5 mil rate that the rest of Naples is in. The fire trucks, I watched the fire trucks last year for a while to see how many times they turned left. All right, because in a fire world, response areas are what it's all about. If you want to go into a city that didn't have a fire department, you want to build a fire department, you draw circles on the map. All right, here's a fire station, here's our 5-minute response time around that fire station, and it goes on, right? And what you buy with a fire, when you're talking to a fire department, what you're buying is response time. If you want to save someone having a heart attack, you need a 5-minute response time. If you're willing to give up those people that have a heart attack and you want a 10-minute response time, your circles are further apart, your fire department's way cheaper to operate, right? Less units, less rigs, less employees. So it really comes down to the response time that you want to have. So when the rigs turn left and they start to go up towards Naples into out of our area here in Choppy, we're paying for that. We're paying way more for that than when they come down. All right, so I would like to see it balanced out. I think that Greater Naples wants their cake and they want to eat it too. All right, when we negotiated the last contract, Greater Naples they kind of stuck their feet in the sand and drew the line and said, we're not going to do it. And the county had to come up with more money and they had to keep our mill rates the same, right? And then we talked to North Naples Fire Department and said, well, would you be interested since Greater Naples is just sticking their feet in the sand, what would you do? And they said, we'd love to have you. All right, that word got out, and within a couple of days, Greater Naples was back at the table and say, we'll take the deal. All right, so they want the expansion district here. That's what they want. That, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there's going to be more people here, and they want that district. They want control of it, but they don't want to pay for it right now. They want control of all the expansion at no cost to them. And that's not how it works. In Green Bay, going back a few years, we annexed some suburbs to the city of Green Bay into the fire station system. And everyone said, well, they're getting a really good deal. Well, they were. We have the established fire department, all the infrastructure, the fire trucks, the stations, right? And they had one station in their district, and they jumped in and paid what Green Bay people are paying. They said, well, we built this infrastructure. We have a lot more into it than they do. And they even came in a little bit cheaper to get things moving, right? But the big picture was that in 2 years or 3 years or whatever, they'd be paying the same thing as everyone else, and that gives everybody some relief on their taxes. Right? So
maybe a question from this is, would the first step be doing a referendum before the local bill or after the local bill to try to engage? Because part of what I think you're getting at, which is there, is that Greater Naples is not particularly interested in this. And so how do we deal with that?
So yes, a referendum is where you want to start. Senator Passidomo has kind of laid out that we really need it when we go to run a local bill at the state. We want to see that it's not just, we need the evidence that it's not just what we want, it's what the constituency wants. So a referendum is where we're going to start.
And there's an election cycle coming up in the next year.
Yeah, September, November of '96, we'll have 2 general elections. Russ?
Any one of these HAR is running stronger than the other ones, as far as you know?
Not really. I think that right now, they're all kind of keeping pace. I'm in all healthcare, so we have a lot to talk about with Big Beautiful Bill. With your background, that's pretty much my silo right now, so I'm not seeing any of these bills work through the process. I won't see them until they make it to the floor. I'm happy to report back to you. I've been in Tallahassee for 8 weeks now, leading up to session, and so I'm happy to come back after session, which potentially may end in March. We're hearing it's probably going to go to July 1st through special sessions and some other issues that the chambers are going to have to work out. But I'm happy to come back and discuss this. You know, I think that, to your point, my son's law enforcement. So I have great respect for our first responders. 80 to 90% of our ad valorem taxes fund fire and fund law enforcement. So we all want services. To your point about your proximity, I know Sanibel Island pays 10 mils for their fire. And again, it's the further you live, the harder it is to get to you. God forbid you ever need these services, but again, we have to pay for them, and so I hear your frustration.
Well, they're spending $6 million 10 miles down the road for another one. And if we became part of Greater Naples, would they eliminate this station here? See, that's...
Right, and I'm happy to sit down with Chris Wolf and have that conversation with him, who is the fire chief of 61, and see if we can't come up with some solutions. I know Senator Passidomo and I helped find funding when I picked up Everglades City and actually picked up all of this district. I think I've only had you all for a year or two through redistricting. And, the fire station, which also operates as the EOC in Everglades City, was flooding. Every time we had any kind of a storm, they were underwater. So we managed to get 14 million in funding so that they could rebuild that facility and at least make sure that the people, in Everglades City had an emergency operations center that didn't flood every time we had a storm.
Yeah. Well, see, I think the thing I'm worried about is we're getting ahead of it, because if any of these HARs go through, fire is not going to be in the taxes anymore. Law enforcement and school stays in the property taxes, but everything else goes out. So then Greater Naples, it all depends on head count or square miles, how much money they get to cover us. But that should change everybody to an equal mill rate.
And to your point, that is why I'm suggesting that we recap and have another meeting when session's over, so that we kind of know, what the outcome is going to be. Because again, we have no language, we have nothing out of the Senate, we have nothing out of the governor's office, other than we have a lot of people calling the office, emailing, saying that they don't want property taxes, they're on fixed incomes, they're retired. I get it. We've got to figure out a balance, because at the same time, we all want to be able to pick up the phone if there's a fire, or if, we need law enforcement and someone show up at the door.
So I think
Ms. Mellows? Steve McNamee here. I'm the board president on Zoom here. First of all, I want to thank you for coming today. It sounds like you were definitely the right person to call. Let me first apologize for the phone calls that you're getting from our community. We've got a very small group of people who are representing us in a very negative manner, but let you know that truly is a very small portion. And hopefully that that won't cloud your judgment with working with us. And thank you again.
You're welcome. And again, I plan on leaving George here so that he can take all of the information and concerns that you all have, and let's get them all addressed. Let's talk about them and figure out some solutions.
And with that, she has 1 hour to get to Bonita Springs, and so if we can at least excuse her, her chief aide will remain with us for the balance of the meeting. So Lauren, thank you again. It's nice to meet you.
You're very welcome.
Merry Christmas to
Nice
you
to
and
meet
your
you all.
family.
Merry Christmas, everyone. If you would like, please, George is happy to give you all my email and also my office number so that any of you can reach out. And as you know, I do read my emails and respond. I think you may have emailed me on a Sunday and I responded.
Yeah, we talked on the phone too, so that was,
Yes.
that was good, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I think it makes sense that we would invite her to come back after session. The property tax uncertainty does make this conversation a lot harder, and I think we might even know pretty quickly in the session which one of these things is moving and which isn't, if any of them are moving. But since that's not been carved out in any of the proposals, unlike police and schools, it's kind of, we're talking in an area where we just don't have enough facts, so it's hard to have the full conversation.
Okay,
With that,
can we, do you want to speak on this with George, or do you want to pick that up later?
let's pick it up later, if you don't mind, just because I have a big list of other public comments today, and then we've got both our utility and our landscape contractor. If there's any action items or to-do items for staff, we'll hold those to the.
Okay, George, before you go today, I have some stuff I want to go over with you, so maybe we can get it in the meeting here later.
Thank you. With that, we're going to go back on the regular agenda of public comment. This would be for items that are not on today's agenda. We typically ask people to register, so let me go through those who took the time to register, and if there are other comments, we'll bring those up in the matter of course. Mr. Westerman?
No comments for that.
Okay, Mr. Gordon, Charles Gordon? Are you still here? Here he is. And because our meetings are transcribed and taped, we need you to come and stand right in the middle of the table there so that we can get you on the recorder. Good morning.
Good morning. Charles Gordon, Peacock Lane, Orchid Cove. Well, I went along with what I was told about the water bills. When I paid my taxes, didn't go down $1,400, around $300. Isn't offsetting for what we got billed. What I got billed in prior years, I paid the whole year less money than what I got billed. And I know other people are in the same boat.
Okay, we can listen to more comments or we can attack it right now. I have all the information from my bill, which came yesterday, got here a little bit late. But in 2024, my non-ad valorem tax was $1,899.63. All right, so almost $1,900. That was my non-ad valorem tax. And non-ad valorem tax paid for the water. That's what you were buying. You were buying the repairs and the upkeep of the water plant and all that. That's what that non-ad valorem charge is. In 2025, the non-ad valorem charge went down to $721.26. All right? So that's a savings of $1,000. I gotta get this straight here. So it was right,
142.
okay? And now if you take my water bill now as a bill, I wasn't here at the time, and it's $256 because I was up north for some fall stuff up north. But so my bill was $256. I didn't use any water at that time. I was out seeing the kids. So 256, if you take that times 6, that's $1,536, $1,536. All right? Add that, the 721 that you still pay is 2,200. So we used to pay 1,899, and if you add the 721 and what my water bill, my meter rates are, that's $2,257. The difference is $358 per year. The difference in my water bill, what it costs me, not counting usage. This doesn't count usage, the 1,800, all right, and the 721 doesn't count usage. So I'm not counting usage right now. I'm counting the base rate on the water bill and what's on your non-ad valorem taxes. All right, so the difference is $358 a year, which yes, more, correct. $358 a year more, which comes out to a 19% increase without using the usage, right? So that's, for me in a condo, that's what my bill changed, 19%, $358 a year. It's not that far apart, it really isn't. You have to look at it correctly, what you pay now, what you paid on your taxes, okay? So with usage in there, it's gonna be more. Now remember, when you get a $300 bill, that's a 2-month bill. So when you compare to anyone else, make sure you realize that most people don't bill bi-monthly. We do. There's some small water plants and stuff that bill quarterly. All right, so it really depends how we bill. We bill bi-monthly, so it's times 6. So actually, that's what we have, is about a 19% increase on my water bill, or $358 a year. All right, so it's not that crazy. Now, when we did this, we changed a lot of moving parts. We were one of the only people left yet that billed most of their water on the non-ad valorem tax. So that $1,899 that I paid non-ad valorem in 2024, that went straight to the water plant. All right, you got to understand how that works. And then we get a water bill, and the bill was $15 or something, right? Because you already paid for most of your water in that $1,900 you were paying on your taxes. Now we don't have that on the taxes anymore. You're paying only $721, and that's an O&M. That's for regular general fund maintenance of streets and trees and landscaping and all that stuff. Okay, so you're not paying for that water charge on your non-ad valorem taxes anymore. It's all on your water bill, and most of it's in the meter, your meter charge that you get every 2 months. Right, so we are up. We are up about $358 for a condo. I'm not sure on the houses. The water bills came so late.
$81. $81. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's confused.
Okay, so on the houses,
360.
Excuse me, if they don't come to the X, we're not gonna do the recording for you.
okay. So anyway, I have to check yet and see. I don't know what the houses look like, what their bills look like, because they had paid a little bit different non-ad valorem than we did back in that condos, because we had a step charge on the ERCs that we took away. It was 1 and 10, whatever, and everybody went to 1, so it changed it a little bit. But anyway, for the condos, that's where we're at, about $358 increase annually, not per water bill, annually. And that's not too crazy. We knew we'd have to do some tweaking on these bills, and once we seen what they look like, we knew that. And we admitted it. We said it in the meetings that once this starts, like I said, we changed so many different things, it's hard to get a feel. We took all the stuff off, kind of stopped on that one. We were the only one in the county that was still paying non-ad valorem tax. If you wanted to streamline more with what the county's doing and all the municipalities, you have to go to a meter charge and get that off your non-ad valorem tax. All right, nobody does that anymore. We were one of the last ones. So that's what drove taking this off the non-ad valorem and putting it into base charges on your meters and things like that.
Let's see if we can pause there, because I've got like 8 speakers, presumably on this topic, but thank you.
Well, I went from $60 to $335.
$60 was your usage charge last year. That's
Last month, the last billing.
Yeah, $60 was
It
the
now
stream.
includes 2 base rates that are $128 each. but you get a $1,140 decrease in your tax bill. That's the premise here. You're paying $1,140 less on your tax bill in support of this community than you have.
We were told it was gonna be 1,400 less.
I don't know that anybody
When
said.
you go back in your minutes,
No,
it was stated $1,400.
that's not correct, and if I can, just in the interest of other people that want to speak on this subject, the other component of that is general fund operations and maintenance, pays for streetlights, drainage, roads, common area landscape maintenance, and all the other things that the district does. That's never going to go away because you don't have a master homeowners association here. And we have two components. We have a general fund, we have a utility fund. And you're no longer paying any taxes at all in support of the utility. Next registered speaker is Mr. Turner.
Can I just make a point?
Sure.
Before everything
Mr. Turner,
gets
come
going
on
here?
up.
We knew this was all coming. And a couple meetings ago, I went to the county website and I printed an average bill somebody showed me from Lately, okay? And it's got all kinds of different speculations on it. But the average bill is $297 a month in Lately for water.
A month?
A month, not bi-monthly, a month, okay? And the other thing I want to explain to people that they don't get, I know I saw things that said we have the highest fixed rate. Well, yeah, we probably do, because we have such a small support staff. The division of all the costs is divided up between fewer people. You got two other water stations in Collier County, and it's divided between hundreds of thousands of people. We're taking care of it here with this, what, 800 units, okay? So it's like, if you own a car and you're paying everything for it, or if you own a bus, like 10 people could happen to own a bus at the same time. Yeah, the bus costs more, but when 10 people take care of the repairs, it's way cheaper than us taking care of one car. You get my drift? The percentage per person is going to be higher here, so you guys can walk in the streets and walk your dogs in the streets. You can't do that in Lately or you get run over. There's fewer people out here. There's different aspects of living out here, which is the reason people want to live out here, is because it's more secluded. Well, you got to pay for that. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is, because you're going to divide the cost over fewer people. Now you can put up towers here. We can double our units here and put up the towers, and we'll cut the rate in half. But you want 8-story towers out here with another 700 units? That's what you're going to get. So you get one or the other. You can't have both. Things cost money. The senator said her tax bill went up $1,700. She didn't think that was fair. But how do you fight it? Anyway, that's my point. You guys are complaining about, little bits and bits. It's a quality of life. It's a lifestyle that you chose when you came out here, and that's the way it's going to be. I mean, you can keep arguing the dollar amounts and everything. We can go over and over and over it. It's not going to change. It's not going to change. And vote us out if you want. Let the new people change it. I'm happy with that. And if we wanted to get, you guys always say, get rid of the CID. Well, you got to make our billing system the same as the rest of the county. Now it is, so you can get rid of us anytime you want.
Prior to changing this and going to the meter base charge, the county said they wouldn't even think about it because our charges were too old-fashioned. We were too out of the loop. So we had to make a big change, and that we did. And now if we have to tweak the numbers a little bit, we had decided when we put this in that we'd wait 6 months, and then we'd take another look at the numbers, and if we had to tweak them, lower the meter rate or whatever we have to do to make it work, we would do that. We didn't want to do it after the first bill came out. We wanted to see a couple of bills come out so that we can look at it and say, okay, we can lower the meter rate a little bit and we'll be fine or whatever. We have to look at that, but we had to start someplace, and with flopping the whole system, it was really hard to tell exactly where to put the numbers. And we came out pretty close. At $358 on a condo per year, that's not too bad for changing the entire system, taking it off and on ad valorem, figuring out what we should have for meter charge, what the increase in prices when we put a new meter on your house. Up front, we pay for those meters. We keep the meters up. we keep the backflow preventers up, all that is part of it, right? And those prices went up a lot lately. A new meter is, where's Matt? He's here. Matt, a new backflow preventer, how much?
Our cost is $600 and some dollars.
$600 and some, and that doesn't include labor, and that's their cost to get one of those backflow preventers. How much is a new meter?
Let's say they're about 500. Is the digital radio was.
Okay, so it gives you an idea. Those costs have almost doubled in a few years, and we were able to not raise the water bills for a long time. Do we need all $358 more this year it's going to cost each one of us? Give us a couple more months, let us see what the bills look like, and we'll be able to tell you if we can lower that a little bit or not. That close.
Yeah, I'd love standing attention all day, it's great. Listen, we don't want you to retire, we don't want you to resign, we don't want to replace people, that's not what we're here for, I don't believe. My biggest point I want to make is this, is that it's great that you had to make a change. The problem is, like you just said, you have no idea what the $358 is going to go for, nor the extra money the water's going to cost every month. It's all about transparency. Transparency is always a great word to use because it makes sense to people. But like I just moved here a year ago, like, and I remodeled my place, I spent a ton of money, blah, 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 right? Which is great. But the problem with that is if this gets hit, it shows a weird optic, right? So you say the tax is gone. Well, is it really in a year from now? I mean, it could come back, correct? You could put the tax back on. So how do we know? You could do that. You could do that. I'm not saying you will do that, but you could do that. And I think that's the thing I'm trying to say is transparency to everything. If the bill, like when I called the water company, it's like, hey, I think I got billed for 2 months or something else is going weird. She's like, oh God, your guys' was like, you paid way more. This is the biggest increase I've ever seen. And I go, I get that. I mean, but the point is this, your transparency should have, in hindsight, it's always great to go backwards, right? But my thing is, you don't take the survey, okay, we're going to the highest dollar amount, so we're going to charge. It needs to be done, because we're all your neighbors, we all see each other down the street. The key to this is, how would you treat your neighbor? If your neighbor said X, Y, well, why don't you raise this increments? You know, instead of just starting at the very top and then try to come down, because we all know with taxes, they never come down. They just don't. I mean, you know that for a fact. If you ever see the taxes come down, no. So I think the point we're trying to make, not everybody here, with me, is that it's about transparency. It's about telling us what are your plans for $358? Is it to replace the main water line that crosses the road? Is that something we're going to do in 2 years? Tell us that. I mean, if you say this is where the money is going to go, your neighbors are going to be like, hey, well, I get it. I appreciate the fact that you're thinking down the line, and I understand now where this money's going. Right now, it's like an arbitrary raise because Marco Island charges a ton of money for water. Well, great, but that's Marco Island's problem. That's not our problem. This isn't our neighbors here. So I think that's what I'm trying to say.
In fairness, if I just could, I think the board went beyond what was reasonable for the transparency component of this.
Well, I've never seen anything yet.
I understand, but you've never even been to a meeting, so let me just say.
I read the notes. I read the last.
Let me say respectfully, we gave a year advance notice that this was being contemplated.
And I wasn't here.
The board, I understand, the board did not adopt the proposed rates. They postponed, the rates that were adopted were actually recommended to be implemented in 2024. So they waited an extra year. So we're a year behind the rates consultant actual recommendation. And in this particular case, they hired Florida's most recognized rate analysis firm, the same one the county uses, to get us more on a business platform. And we had 2 public workshops, 2 public hearings, and flyers and website uploads on 2 occasions that accompanied utility bills. So I think they really went beyond what is normal with respect to providing information, providing a year's advance notice that this was, but we would sit here and say that, you know, when we finally adjust the bills, we're going to have a big crowd. But
just real quick, on your website, it has no way to contact you guys on the website. Just FYI. There's no one I can even, like I tried a few months ago to contact somebody.
I can't even give him my Apple. You can give him the information. Just, I want one number out of you, nothing more. I want a number of how much money we're spending on that water plant in the future with the tanks, the pipes, and everything. Well, what's coming?
10 million?
10 million.
That's
where the money's going.
We don't know that. I mean,
we've been talking about it.
Great, I'm a year in, right? So help us. Help us
There's,
understand.
Where's that CIP?
Yes, the CIP.
Check the CIP.
And all of their district email addresses are on the website in addition to mine, and I know that people are routinely contacting me.
Listen, I couldn't find it, so.
But
I bet you
there's a general mailbag box default, but it's all there. And the rate study is there, and
I
the
saw the rate study. I've seen
capital
all this stuff.
improvement plan was there. And I think in the past year, we have spent about $500,000, and I don't have the authority to spend it unless they discuss it and vote on it at one of these meetings. We've invested $500,000 in capital improvements in the prior year. And at the last month's meeting, the board authorized 3 different lift station renovations at about $70,000 a piece. And so we're pretty open and transparent when it comes to that. If I can, let me call the next speaker.
Neil?
Mr. Mishler, if you'll start coming forward, yes.
Neil, can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes, sir.
One quick comment on that. When you say that taxes never go down, when I moved into this community, I don't know, 6 years ago or what it was, irrelevant to the $42,000 I was paying on 5 acres of vacant property, my taxes back then, if I'm remembering correctly, was close to $2,100 a year. So, in those 6 years, I got to believe that our expenses have gone up, but in reality, our non-ad valorem taxes have gone down. So yes, sometimes they do go down. Thank you.
Is it Mishler or Mishier? Thank you, and then you'll be followed by Mr. Mazurko.
I'd like to stay to the end on my comment.
Good morning, you're next on the end, but go
Good morning.
ahead. Yes, sir.
I want to thank you guys. You all work hard. I know you work hard. A lot of you are my neighbors. You're not the enemy. I like to see a community here. There's 3 things I'd like to address this morning. The first thing is, I'm glad you're here, sir. Your name is George. I don't know your last name, so I'll just call you Mr. George, okay? I've been a property owner here since 2001. I am a non-resident of Florida. I've probably given the state of Florida $100,000 in property tax over the years, and I have no voice when it comes to voting for anything in the CID. You have to be a resident in order to vote for CID board members. I would like to see a change on that. I did contact your office over a year ago, spoke with some lady, female, and they said, well, the agenda's already up. And I said, well, yeah, but it changes every year. So if there's any way that we could address that, I would like to be able, if you are a property owner in the community, that you should be able to vote for your representatives on the CID board. The second thing that I'd like to bring up is, as a community, I would request that the board, and actually implore that the board go to the county and see if the CID can take over the marina store. This thing is an abysmal failure ever since the county took it over. And I don't know if the county thinks they're making millions off of it or what have you, but here we are, a year later, nobody's there, the store's empty. I don't have any place to go for coffee in the morning. But when you look at it, and that's somewhat humorous, but when I first came here in 2001, we had a functioning hotel, we had a restaurant, we had a bar, and every year it just keeps going down a little bit. So I would really like to see a sense of community and get something going where, whether we have to build our own community hall or take over the marina store, have a functioning community here. Thank you.
Mr. Mazurko, you want to wait to the end?
Yes, please, thank you.
All right, next is Ms. Oswald, and then Ms. Oswald, you'll be followed by Ms. Kilmeyer.
Catherine Oswald, Newport Drive. I've got just a couple things. Number one, the first one being, it was mentioned that Everglades City Fire Department got flooded during Irma. Guess where they sent their fire engines? over here. Why don't we close Everglades City and make this one the central hub? We're as far away from Everglades City as they are from us. My property taxes, my homeowner's insurance went down by almost $400 because they're there. A lot of people don't know that they can have their property taxes. I mean, their homeowners. Anyway, that was that one. The other one is, yes, we're paying I'm paying $432 more per year. Homes are only paying $80-some more a year. I was told by some of the board, when we discussed this before it even went through, that it was only gonna go up by about maybe, condos were only gonna go up maybe around $40 a year. Well, 400 from 40 is a lot of money. And as it's been stated, I'm on a fixed income. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to live here because of these prices. Last thing that I wanted to discuss was the water rate. This discount, no, never mind, because I didn't write a note, so I don't remember.
No, thank you. If you do, just be kind of in Ms. Meyer.
Sure.
Thank you. Catherine Kellmeyer, Sunset K Lakes, Newport Drive. Mr. Truckee and Kathy Oswald are correct on the figures that they have given. The condos did go up by, we were up a few dollars. The condos went up by $362.19 according to my calculation. Again, just a little bit different than Dan's. And the homes went up only $81.59. How in God's name can you actually do that? In the old board, the old system, when ERCs were a factor, the condos were paying 0.8 of an ERC where a home was 1.0, and that has gone by the wayside. And the difference between what the condos went up and what the houses went up is totally unacceptable and unreasonable.
That's not true. It's not true. My taxes went up $580.
Non-ad valorem taxes on Mr.
Right.
McNamee's. On Mr. McNamee's, I have the bills here. His non-ad valorem in 2024 was $2180.23. 2025, they were $721.26. If you take what he paid totally at the 21 and change, and subtract the $721, which is on the general fund for 2024, it comes to $1,458. If you do the same thing on the condominiums, the water sewer side was $1178 on non-ad valorem taxes for water sewer on condominiums. And right now, we are paying annually $1,540.56, which is your $128.38 times 2 times 6. That takes care of that. Mr. McNamee's tax bills. That takes care of that section. The other section.
I don't know about his bill. I just know my bill. My bill.
I will check. I will look at your bill. It's public record. I will definitely look at it. Okay, the next issue is the swimming pools that we have that are associated with condominiums. We were always paying just for the water usage, water and sewer, the same rates as everybody else. The rates for the water and sewer went up 30%. On the rate from $8 and change up to $11 per 1,000 gallons. There's no discount on the sewer like there was before, and now condominium associations are paying, again, another $1,500 a year just because we have a meter to service that. We've never been paid, never had paid that, just usage. That takes care of the pools. Then we come to the irrigation. In one meeting, Neil mentioned that the irrigation rates were done on a conservation basis. I believe that that is a true statement, Neil. And it has to do with your permitting, and Ron Benson, the old engineer, said, in order to show South Florida Water Management District that we are conserving, he initiated the tiered level. Going to a single level, you are not going by the permit, and again, language I can't tell you on that because the tiered level went away. And you're also raising the rates 30% from $1.45 on the first level up to $1.87 for everybody. You're losing income by not going on the tiered level and making the people that use more irrigation water pay for it. And you're taking advantage of the people that try to do and conserve the water. Now, I appreciate that you said you're going to have a 6-month trial, see how it works. I would appreciate it if you would keep all these facts into your thinking for the next 6 months and make the corrections so things are fair to people that conserve water, to condos that don't have as much property and everything else as single-family homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4 today are the minutes of your last regular meeting. That was the meeting that occurred on November the 21st. They're behind the next tab. I do have one change on page 5. Under the upcoming ERU methodology and impact fee, we have a verbal agreement from Mr. Wire, not an agreement. We will have he had said he would submit to us a written agreement for that work after the holidays in January. So if you'll just strike and write in verbal, he has verbally committed to undertake that. Those were the only changes I had. Zach, did you have any?
No, sir.
Ms. Hanson, are you still with us?
I am.
Did you have any suggested changes to the November minutes?
I don't. I reviewed them previously.
With that, if there are no other changes, we can entertain a motion to approve them as amended.
Make the motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
I second it.
There's a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 5 is our monthly utility operations report. Matt, or you did it. There it is. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Operations at facilities throughout the month were in accordance with contract and regulatory requirements. All wastewater plant requirements were met, and all water distribution requirements were met. The reuse system is down 1 pump currently, but it's still functioning properly. The canal is still operating on 2 pumps, and the generator doesn't work. The wastewater treatment plant received 2.52 million gallons of wastewater in November, and the water plant produced 3.02 million gallons in November. We distributed 9.38 million gallons of reused water in November. We read 864 meters, and we used 450 gallons of chlorine. We inspected all pump stations weekly, performed motor control checks. All pumps and motors were greased. We replaced the seals on the recycle pumps behind the wastewater plant and some additional maintenance. We did order the automatic transfer switch that was approved last month. So we're hoping to have that soon. We finished the lift station rehab on Newport Road, and we replaced a leaking raw water pipe inside of the plant.
Is that both on Newport now or done or not?
No, we haven't done the second one yet. We had no accidents or incidents and conducted all of our safety training.
You said a generator wasn't working?
Yeah, that one on the canal pump station with the canal pumps. It hasn't worked. I think since we've been here.
Yeah, but at this point, I don't know that we want to fix that.
No, we had somebody look at it and they said it was not repairable.
No.
Do we want to replace it?
No.
Don't want to replace it either.
You wanna get into that right now a little bit?
Well, that whole pump station is a backup to basically your fire suppression system if the plant were to go down. So, it does, I mean, the plant has a generator and it has pumps that supply.
But if we would increase our water storage, which we have that tank right now, 250,000 gallon tank, right? That's the one we're gonna build. If we get that tank up and we have the more water storage, we probably won't need that canal station.
Yeah, I don't know if, yeah, it's probably true. Right now you have a lot more reuse storage than you do drinking water storage because you use a lot more reuse, mainly for irrigation, but also in the event of a fire, you have a lot of water. And this is a redundant system to that, but you could potentially make the new tank a redundant system to your reuse system in an emergency.
Right. I also just talked to South Florida Water Management about expanding the well field,
Oh, really?
possibly more wells.
Oh, cool.
And just to see what they have to say about it.
Yeah.
And she's gonna get back to me. So if we go in that direction and get away from using the canal water, you'd be better off. It's better for us,
Oh, yeah, it's better water quality.
way better. So that's the direction I'd rather go than stick money into the canal plant.
Sure. Yeah, that's completely up to you guys. We're happy as long as there's plenty of water and pumps that do what needs to be done. So however you want to do it.
Very good. Thanks for everything you guys do.
No problem.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
We're also going to accommodate our landscaper, so if you would, we hadn't been here in some time, but we'd like to have him here at least quarterly or biannually just to update us on the overall condition of your common areas. And he works pretty closely with Mr. Baird on a lot of the individual tasks and things, but we appreciate you being here today.
No problem. Good morning. Robert Soto with Soto's Lawn. Thanks everyone. Thank you for having me here. Happy holidays, and let's get started. I've been talking to Kevin, and Kevin provided me with last week we met up here on the property. There's the landscape architect that designed stuff throughout the property, gave some ideas throughout in general of the property from Kays Drive to Newport Drive to Union Road. And so what I did is I looked at it, I reviewed it. There's areas in general that need more attention than others. And so what I did is I did a quick draft based upon what they recommended on the guard. It's called the guardhouse, but it's the old cell center is what it's under. And so what I did, I drafted up. I know that's always been a concern about the sign being covered, and there's a bunch of old stuff there. And as an enhancement, it is part of that plan. I drafted up a quick estimate on, I came back out here, I walked the property, and I looked at it in general. So I provided, one proposal. I could provide proposals as we go, in general areas, Kays, Newport, attack the areas that need more attention. And so, I started off with this. We can work on it as we go, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, it's a big plan. So, and I know you guys already paid for the architectural plan for that, so, it's more in what you guys want to do. Irrigation, which I've been communicating with Matt. We had a little shell issue on Kays Drive. I contacted Kevin immediately on that. We've added a filter. I'm not seeing more shell on it right now because we're having valves stuck on, valves that were seeping, bleeding because they were just getting clogged up, the gas was not closing. And it's only been on Kays Drive, and it's only been at the entrance on the left side. I don't know how the flow or what happened, but it was happening on that area. We couldn't figure it out. Come find out once we unclogged the valve and found out there was shells inside of it. So we've added a big filter just to kind of watch and observe and catch whatever comes before those valves into the irrigation system. As far as right now, it's working. It's been working since the last time that we repaired. We did some solder placement out in Newport Drive at the very end of the home that he turned off the water for me. We were able to get some grass in and stuff like that. So I need about 5 more days just to let the grass root in a little bit. Last time we did it and it floated up on us. Right away, all the water that comes through that way just floated up on us and it did not take. So another subject that was brought up to my attention was 41 median. I don't see any of that upgrades or repairs and stuff like that on the 41 median. I know there was a concern about it, and I just want to find out more how we want to handle it moving forward. If it's something that we want to add back on the list and repair and get it back up, or just continue to bring it down more to bare minimum, don't do anything, restructure that. I'm here for the ideas of what you guys want to do and how you guys want to manage it moving forward. It's a subject that I wanted to bring up and, just kind of get the guidance from you guys of how you want me to handle that.
They did budget in anticipation that Kevin might bring some either renovations or upgrades to the board. There's $25,000 in this year's budget, specifically for capital outlay within the landscape cost center. So, we budgeted in anticipation. So if you want to develop some proposals and bring them through the board's landscape liaison, if you've already got them, then we've got money to do work.
You talking about the median?
No,
In general.
No,
in general,
in
just
front of
the
like,
3
in front of
entrances.
the big sign, the entryway there, that's what we call it.
So the only other thing I would bring up about the median, which is, we've known for a while, is the irrigation that has not been working on the one side because it lost power, and the power comes from very far
It
away.
actually comes from where he's talking about the generator, all the way up to
But it's
41.
been like that for how many years now?
It's been probably 5, 6 years.
years.
So, we can regain power and recontrol it, but I have to get power in order for me to get the system back up and function. And right now, it's just been, we've had multiple accidents on 41. We've had a semi, we've had cars go through it, and all we've done is clean up, not done anything back as far as putting it back in. We had a timer just completely wiped out on the entrance of Union Road that we did replace and put back in. When the car went through and the timer was practically the one that stopped it from going in any further. But, it's just, I just want to bring it up. I know there was a concern and I'm here to work with you guys. I've always worked with you guys. And if it's something that we want to restructure, we look at, I have no problem, or if it's something that we want to bring back online at 100%, those are options. We're going to be receiving mulch here next month throughout the entire property and just doing our normals that we've always done in the contract for you guys. Irrigation, like I said, it's there's always repairs. There's always something, there's always breaking. There was a leaky valve that was seeping at the entrance here on the one that you mentioned to me on that one head. It was just continuing to seep, and it was seeping, so that got replaced. So, it's just a topic that I wanted to bring up. Some ideas later on or something to discuss in the future, let me know, whatever I can do for you guys.
Well, shouldn't we take the dead stuff out? The stuff that's just straggling there, that doesn't look good.
Oh, I'm for that.
And then, I don't know what the community wants to do with it. What does it cost us a year for that?
They're about $35,000 a year.
35,000. Maybe we zero-scape it or something that doesn't need.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was what I thought we were gonna do quite some time ago, but
We're gonna have to make a decision here sometime, at least take the dead stuff
Figure
out.
that out.
right.
Yeah.
So half the median out there from the canal going towards Naples hasn't had water in 5 or 6 years. It's been down. So a lot of that's dead. Needs to be replaced anyway. Personally, in my opinion, and everyone has an opinion, this is mine, I'd like to see it zero-scaped and maybe put in some more palm trees. Some Royal palms or something that prune themselves. All you gotta do is pick it up when they fall. I don't know if we have to go to the state to make sure that we'd have to submit a landscape plan because it isn't.
It is on the 41,
Yeah, we might
you
have
have
to
to
do
go to
that,
DOT on that.
If that came out, we put in some more palms because across the front of the hotel, they got the big Royal palms spread out all the way down. if we did something like that in the median, just to have the big oil problems, and then there's no maintenance cost to that. Really, go by once in a while and pick up the fronds if they're laying.
Right, and that, like I said, it's completely up to you, I know the structure, whatever you guys wanna do, like I said, I just need the, what you guys wanna do moving forward, and I know Kevin, has been, he presented me with this plan, and that's what I'm gonna use, is something that you guys already have, and which is nice to have, because it specifies everything, I mean, there's options, I mean, if you only wanna do the right side, only the right side can get done, if you wanna do the left, there's options, and what, you could your budget for per the year, as far as what we can do.
I've made some notes here, just, as part of our record, the main irrigation pump, failed, at the plant. It's an old motor. It has already been pulled and sent to an Armature Works, company in Tampa to be rebuilt. And we hope to have that back online in 2 or 3 weeks. And so, there's not a lot that gets done between Christmas and New Year's anywhere, but by the time I see you next month, the main irrigation pump should be back up and running. The second pump is 45 horsepower. It is operable. The irrigation system is functioning. There will be periods during, peak single-family or residential watering in the middle of the night where pressure may be down, but it's down for good reason. We're supplementing that, but that should be completely resolved. And by the time we get to the January meeting, I would ask you, if we've got some dead and dying material that is in the 41 median, if you would send Kevin Carter or my staff a proposal just to go in there and remove all of that, just to make it look a little bit better, I'll be happy to evaluate that.
The majority of that we can take care of within our contract. During our basic, I mean, it's not a problem. There is a lot of stuff that's, that does change.
Dead or dying material, we should at least get that thinned out during the course of the winter, whenever, otherwise that stuff's getting a little dormant anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly where it's at. So, I mean, at least, just a little bit of feedback and after, once you guys discuss and see what you guys want.
Anything else? Again, you and Matt both are important contractors to this community, and we really enjoy doing business with you, and so thank you. And with that, y'all go home and enjoy Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
Just for record clarity, what are we doing with that proposal? Is that something that's going to be evaluated?
Is this just for the new?
That is the new.
I haven't seen it yet. We'll work that through, and if it needs board action, we'll discuss that.
Well, did you get to see this, Russ?
Yeah,
I saw that. We got something, go ahead and move on now?
Are you happy? Didn't we have someone else?
I think your manager's recommendation is, he has not seen this, I think it might be important for Neil to review this and then.
If you want to
This
go
is
ahead
more of a
and
sample, guys. I really wasn't, saying this is just enough, so you guys have an idea of what, and it could all be adjusted. This is not just, I just did a draft of what it would take to do it. My recommendation, your ideas can be a little different, but we can minimize it or, whatever you guys want to do.
Kevin, either you or Robert would send us, or let me have that copy and I'll scan it and get it back to you. That way we can just go by the normal course.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is your sprinklers, do you have the power and everything you need in front of the hotel by the sign?
Yes.
Because
There
it's
is.
changing right now. We're trying to get a meter in that post right across from the
Well,
entrance there.
the power source to that timer there is on the building. It's a timer right on the sidewalk right there where it
And
walks
it's
in.
powered right now from the
And it's
building.
actually powered from the inside of the building. In the past, we've had to go in there and turn off the breaker because I think that one's hardwired.
He just had that all rewired. That's why we had some problems out there.
Okay.
All right.
So is it gonna be CID power or is it gonna be?
No,
is
it's
that-
still on his power, but he put in a brand new breaker box and all that was redone.
Okay.
So there was, you see some of the wires that come outside and they're twisted, they're not connected. Electricians, I don't think they finished that up right or something.
Okay.
I was just wondering if you had power to your timers.
I will stop by and look at that right now.
Yeah, it might be because they cut all
It
that.
looked like stuff ran in the morning because it was wet when I drove in this morning, but I will look at it right now and see maybe that's on a separate breaker or something.
Yeah, they cut the power to be able to replace that box and everything. It didn't look like they turned it all back up.
Okay.
So check.
I'll stop by and look at it. But yes, our feed is right there.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
That takes us down to item number 6 today. Some of these are just update items. They do not need board action. With the help of Zach's office, we were able to have a conversation with Mr. Case's attorney over the default of the parcel 13 takedown schedule on those ERC payments. Your co-counsel, the Salvatore law firm, participated in that same discussion, providing some information. I think that there will be some ongoing efforts to see if we can resolve that matter. Zach, you want to add anything to that? I mean, Lenore was, also on the call.
It seems that they are, he's pursuing another potential buyer and will be coming back to you all, I guess, to bring this discussion forward. It really seemed like we were waiting on his additional information. But one of the things that he was asking for that has not been complete on our end is the Johnson Engineering analysis of the availability beyond what was held back from that parcel and how to think about pricing these items. And I know that's something that we reached out to Johnson Engineering to do, but it has not been completed yet. So that's something.
Always held back from Johnson Engineering.
No, what I mean is you all as a board have asked Johnson Engineering to look at how many ERCs based on the current capacity could there be, and how would you price the ERCs.
Okay.
And so Johnson is doing that analysis. Obviously, Mr. Case is very interested in seeing that analysis, and he even indicated on this call that he might be interested in purchasing more than what he initially attempted to purchase, which was kind of a curious comment. But really, the conversation I thought didn't have a lot of helpful information. It just sort of sounded like he hasn't figured out a plan yet, and eventually we'll come back to you with a plan.
We should look at, for that property, because the contract was terminated, right? We do have a rule we passed a couple of years ago that vacant commercial property would be charged 4 per acre for ERC type stuff, right?
Yeah.
So if we looked at the number of O&Ms, since the ERCs now are no longer, we do have the O&Ms though, and those go right with it at 4 per acre. So I don't believe he's paying anywhere near that right now.
I don't know. I'll have to check the roll that was adopted, but otherwise if it defaults to the 4 per acre.
Because that would take what he pays towards the general fund on the ERC, or on the O&Ms, that would take it from, I think he's paying what, 70,000 or something? It's
70 to 100.
70 to 100, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And that would take him up probably closer to 200. Right, 170 or something. It'd take him up probably.
I think that could be done as part of the updated methodology. Because what I would say is, in the prior methodology, there was this deal in place that I think guided the valuation of that property. But if the deal's not in place, then it will be evaluated on all vacant land.
Right, so what we have in place right now is just a general rule that would be 4 per acre.
And so that would
have
be
a couple hundred.
done through that methodology update.
So 53 times 4 times 721. So he's
That
gonna
might provide some incentive.
Yes, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I've made that note and make sure that that's in Russ's scope of work.
All right.
I did get some preliminary information concerning our current rated or licensed capacity for the plant. The water treatment plant has a maximum permitted inflow of 460,000 gallons per day. The wastewater treatment plant license is at a rated capacity of 200,000 gallons per day. The average daily consumption levels are in the 150,000 sort of range. On wastewater and water can be all over the board, really, depending on the time of year and the seasonality of that. There are some peak day occurrences that happened last year on the wastewater side that I believe are beginning to get addressed through some of the rehabilitation of those lift stations. The 3 that you've offered, I think we were getting saltwater intrusion into those. And so some of that peak day surge activity needs to be monitored closely by Florida utility systems as we get into peak season here during the spring. But we'll share this with Mr. Case's attorney on a preliminary basis, but otherwise this gets incorporated into some of Mr. Weir's work that is being done to update the methodology and also establish a fixed ERC charge for capital capacity going forward. Those are the 2 tasks that the board authorized. Item B today, Mr. Carter of my staff has contacted the Sheriff's Department about scheduling a preliminary community security assessment to gauge or get some better recommendations as to potential security cameras or license plate reading cameras that could be integrated into the 911 dispatch center. We hope to get that scheduled following the holidays with the District 2 that we're in, which is part of the Sheriff Road Patrol District that's in place here. Orchid Cove streetlights, I know we've had some preliminary discussions, and I was advised, again by Mr. Carter, that Mr. Truckee, you also doing some evaluation there going forward as to what the necessary total number of lights may need to be, or other. This is the issue where these streetlights that are on a private road at Orchid Cove, as part of an interlocal agreement, are being paid by the district to compensate them for some utility overcharges that go back about 5 years ago before the current board or management company were in place. That work is ongoing, and I believe we're coordinating it with Steve there at Orchid Cove.
Yes, I spoke with LCEC, had a couple long conversations with them about that, went through their price list, what it costs. The light poles at Orchid Cove run either $54 a month or $64 a month, depends if they have a LED fixture on the top or not. Our average light pole right now runs $22 to $24 a month. So there's quite a bit of difference in the poles, and that's where the balance has to be looked at.
Okay. I've just brought it up, it's ongoing, it is on our action item list as well. Item D today, and there's a backup. This is the necessary resolution for you to declare the old mosquito spray rig surplus property for purposes of us having it sold at auction. The board has previously authorized this draft. Zach has drafted the necessary resolutions to declare it surplus so that we can make it available for purchase. I'll need a motion and a second to authorize the chairman to sign the resolution.
I'll make a motion to sign the resolution to sell the surplus mosquito.
Is there a second?
I'll say it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I should note that I just got a text that Ms. Hanson needed to leave to go to another appointment, and the approximate time of her leaving the meeting was 10:45. Item 7 today are the financials for the first month of the fiscal year. Not a lot really meaningful here as we only have one month and no actual non-ad valorem assessments received, but the district at the end of October, for the first month of the fiscal year, had $5,056,000 in cash on hand between the general fund and the utility fund, $3.4 million in the general fund, $1.7 million in the utility fund. Additionally, there was some undeposited cash from the utility billing side of $11,000 that had not been deposited that is reflected separately there. And there's also a receivable for that portion of the October utility bills that had not yet been received but were not paid by the end of October. Additionally, the district has $7,404,000 in fixed assets. The majority of that is associated with the irrigation and water and wastewater utilities. That amount is net of depreciation that is also scheduled there. Total assets on hand at the end of October, $12,518,000. There were $91,000 in payables that were outstanding that are shown on the liability portion of the district. So this is sort of the low mark in terms of cash for the year. We have already received a substantial tax payment from the tax collector that will be reflected in November. People chasing that 4% discount on their property tax bill. But total interest income for the month on your investments, $11,238 in interest earnings, really pretty strong. We've budgeted, and as the principal balances increase there, the total anticipated interest earnings for the year, $160,000. On the expense side of the income statement, some of our costs are either seasonal or they're front-loaded. For example, we have to prepay the entire year's charges for the property appraiser in advance in the first month of the fiscal year. The same is true for your commercial insurance package. So you'll see major expenses there in October. We prepay these and get a discount at the first month of the year for the entire year. So your liability and your property and your workers' compensation coverages have all been prepaid for the year that are reflected there. Don't really have any other expense comments, only because it's only been 30 days. There was a host of repairs that were undertaken in the utility system. I've already talked about those, the lift stations in particular. In addition, the board had authorized $17,000 to replace the transfer switch at the plant to be able to have the automatic backup generators kick on in that regard. So I think I'll stop there. These have been reviewed. No other real comments at this point. I'll talk a little further about these when I see you next month and we actually begin to book some of the new revenue for this year. Is there a motion to accept them?
I make a motion to accept the finances.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
That takes us down to item 8. Zach, anything else on the attorney's report?
Yes, we have filed the motion for attorney's fees and costs following the trial to pursue recovery of the district's attorney's fees in the Prep Mac matter. And as that gets set for hearing, we'll let you know the progress of that. This was based off the settlement offer.
Do you know what the number is?
I don't know offhand what the number is from the offering and the settlement to trial, but it's basically the last 2 or 3 bills you paid. So it's probably 50 to 60,000.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. But that's what we'll be updating over the next couple of months. Hearings typically take 2 or 3 months to schedule, so I don't expect knowing the answer to that shortly. But the courts are the masters of their own schedule there. That's our primary update.
It counts, Zach?
No, sir.
One item under the engineer's report today, this is in your backup near the very end of your agenda. We have the proposal from Johnson Engineering, who's your engineer of record, for the well field hardening and resiliency project. For those of you who don't come to a lot of our meetings, your raw water source is about 2 miles northeast of where we are today in the middle of the state's Waxahachie Strand Preserve. That's where your wells are. And those wells were all lost during Hurricane Ian due to storm surge. They went underwater and they all failed. And so we've been working, Mr. Truckee has very hard to get some FEMA money to do a mitigation project there to get the actual well heads up out of the floodplain in order to have a more reliable source of raw water that goes to the plant for this community. The total proposed cost of the design, permitting fees, and engineering inspection during construction is $110,500. Specifically, the amount to prepare the electrical plans and the bid sets and the permits is roughly about $75,000. This work does need permits from the from the state, and we'll need permits from the county, but the cost to prepare and go through the bid and permitting phase, about $70,000. I'll need you to authorize this. And Dan, do you have any update on the grant for the well field project?
We have probably $3 million in grants sitting on FEMA's desk, somebody's desk, and they're just sitting there. I talked to the lady that takes care of it for FDM. It's the state people that talk to FEMA. She said that 2 grants went through in the last 6 months. So it's a very slow process at this time. I asked her, were they Ian grants or were they how old the grants? And they're in the same stage that we have. We filed Ian grants and in 22, and the grants that got paid, a couple of them were from 22. So that means they're into the pile we're in. Where we are in that pile, I don't know. But it was nice to have Congresswoman Mello here today because they can help. And I have a letter going out today sometime to Senator Ballard, and they can make a difference on grants. They have the power to, let's say, expedite. So hopefully we can work through our Congress people and stuff at the federal and the state level and maybe get some push on these grants to get them going.
With that, I will need a motion for you to authorize that engineering contract to begin the preparation of the permit applications and the plans to put this out to bid.
I make a motion, we agree to Johnson Engineering's proposal.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Let me say this just real quick. If the FEMA grants, even the 404 grants we have, well, they're through FEMA, but they're up through the state, all those grant programs pay for engineering. So right now we're fronting the engineering because they haven't agreed to pay the grant yet. So we front that money with the hopes that when the grants go through, it'll also pick up the engineering bill. So if they go through, we'll get that money back.
Just for record purposes, is Chairman McNamee still on?
I believe he may have left. I did not hear him vote on that motion for the engineering.
Wanted to make sure.
Steve, are you still with us?
Excuse me,
Okay, then we should note that he left the meeting at approximately 10:50. I think that takes us down to any other supervisor requests?
Well, Neil, you said you was gonna get us a price structure for the community center at some other location. Did you ever get anywhere with that?
We had some renderings prepared for a 3,000 square foot plus or minus community center. We haven't tried to get some bids. I can tell you that I'm told in talking to a design build firm that is doing a project for me at Pelican Marsh to build a new guard gate, their main guard gate, that a good number all in for design and permitting and construction with reasonable finishes, and yours again needs to get up out of the floodplain. It's $500 a foot, so the plug number would be about $1.5 million.
Under old business, we were talking about lots here, the double lots, taxation.
Double lots and commercial boat slips for either eco tours or charter fishing are part of the scope of services for Mr. Wire's methodology update, in addition to the impact fee calculation that I mentioned. And again, I hope to have an actual contract from him at your next meeting, and that he would start that work this winter.
If we look at Lindsay's on the
I made that note separately.
if we look at that though, then
And
we have
it
to
needs
look
to be
at
adjusted back into that same
the other
scope.
commercial lots also have to be updated at the same time.
So is it more than one?
Yeah, there's Mr. Preppen's land on the other side, there's a county piece over there on the other side.
Yeah, the county is, as you know, the county is already paying assessments on their assets, and
We're paying on the marina. I don't know about the parking area.
I think they're paying on their fire station too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I'll verify that.
But we'll just have to look at, just to be fair across the board, we gotta look at all those commercial assets.
Yeah, I think we added them in my first year here at the same time that we added a large residential parcel that is at the southeast corner of the community. It's not platted, but owned by Mr. K. And we also added the cell phone tower to the assessment roll at the same time because historically none of them have been paying in
Right,
support.
but I don't know that we brought all those up to the 4 per acre.
I made that note. That will need to be part of that.
The other thing on that too is that, Mr. Preppin on his condo association was supposed to buy, how many more ERCs that
It's
was?
approximately 15 to 18, somewhere there.
Yeah, I was gonna say 19,
Somewhere in
okay,
that zone.
18. Anyway, that's just kind of sitting there at the moment too, we should really get deeper into that.
I think the next step on that,
You'll just make,
I think it's just a demand letter that you approve when we send it.
Okay,
any other supervisors?
we have to have a price for you on that.
Well, this is kind of so when this conversation came up last, it then dovetailed into getting to the number, and then that led to Mr. Wire. We seem to have been having some time getting Wire on board here. So the demand is, in a way, impossible if I don't know what you're willing what the cost is here. So
Yeah, we have to get that number in order to put that, send it better.
So there's a significant amount that you're asking Mr. Wire to do here, really, and I think that we need to make sure that we're scheduling several workshops with him because there's a lot that has to be recaptured in all of these comments, and that has to be gone through very carefully because he has done updates for you in the relatively recent past, and so I think that in this one we need to make sure we're going very slowly through it so that we catch all of these pieces. So I think it needs to be heavily workshopped because all of these things tie together.
They do. And we should do them all at the same time. When we increase, it should be, take it all in one sweep.
Agreed.
Guys, can I add something to this, or do I stay in the back?
Hang on one second. We're coming up to final public comment here. Any other supervisor reports?
Yes,
Go ahead.
okay, go ahead. Back in August, we talked about adopting rules of order. Where are we at with that?
There is a draft set of rules of decorum or order. I think the chairman was working on that. Did you get a chance to look at that?
I haven't seen the draft set. We did notice and put out the notice that we're beginning the rulemaking process. So once we have a draft that we're comfortable with, we can go ahead.
You got a copy of the one that we had.
And at the initial meeting, I have that. If that's what we're talking about, I have that. But if there's
Yeah.
been further work on that, I don't have it.
Let me talk to the chairman about that because that was something that he
I have
was
it.
gonna. Okay.
I have that first copy, but I guess if there was
Yeah.
more done to it, I
If
need
there's
to
other revisions, I'm not aware of them, but
in which case, I would say we could do the workshop probably in January with the February adoption, would probably be the flow through on that. But I'll double check and Neil, I'll get with you as far as the actual timing of the newspaper notices.
yeah. And if you would, Dan, if you have a copy of that, just send that to me just to make sure I'm looking at the most recent draft.
I'll send it out. I have it on my computer.
Okay.
It's on here.
Anything further, Kevin?
Yes, it was mentioned about the community taking back over the marina. And I'd like to bring that back up so we can get comments from Neil and also the attorney on, is that even something that we could possibly do, or
The
Marina or the store?
the marina store?
The county has a single contract, I believe, countywide for all of their boat ramps or concessions. And as I understand it, the most recent concessionaire just walked away.
Yep.
Yeah, the county has gone out basically for an emergency bid to replace the
Yeah.
concessionaire across all of their marinas because they walked away from all the marinas.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, not just us.
And so there's kind of a countywide crisis going on right now, if that's about this issue. As far as taking it over, it would be, they own the real estate, so it would just have to be a conversation with the county about whether they're willing to part with that real estate, or if you mean you just want to come in and manage it. But if you come in and manage it, we'd have to talk about how we're paying for that, how we're addressing that piece. But I do think that if the concerns are recent concerns, it probably makes sense to wait and see how the new concessionaire performs, because what you're seeing right now is just a complete breach of contract that really doesn't have anything to do specifically for the islands. It has to do with the fact that everybody got walked away from them, and the client and the customer failed. So everyone's being let down right now, and we can certainly start this conversation with the county, but my sense is that we don't actually know what this looks like when it's run correctly.
I will,
Bill, can you add anything to this conversation?
Not really, like, they said, it went out to bid in November, in October, it closed in November, and there's been absolutely no word since then on any progress with awarding a new concessionaire.
I'll contact the county manager's office to see when they expect to have the bid proposals in front of the county commission for an award, especially if it's on some sort of emergency or fast track procurement. I stopped in there this morning and intended to get a cup of coffee, and there were 3 county park rangers that were looking at me. And then I don't know why it takes 3 park rangers to sit in a dark, empty store, but maybe that's another story. I'll contact the county manager's office and see where the schedule of the bid award is, because they'll need the county commission's approval for that. And when we determine that, we'll upload it to the district website. Any final board member comments?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. We had talked about resurfacing Newport. We were gonna get some type of discount through the county, whatever the county gave us.
We shared that with the chairman, and we are eligible to do a piggyback bid on that. I don't remember what the price per ton. It's bid on a ton basis. Let me go back and we shared that with the chairman.
I thought we budgeted every year to be doing some of the streets to make sure we upgrade everything. And I thought that was in the budget, no?
No.
We talked about doing Newport.
I know.
Right, and that's the biggest street we have.
Right. And
we shared some preliminary information with the chairman, and we are eligible to piggyback off the county's bid for milling and asphalt work.
And the old hotel site that the county owns, I know we were talking about trying to acquire that property, but any word on that? I mean, did we have to pay the $475,000?
I do know that the county expects to be fully compensated for everything they have into it, which is approximately
$584,000.
The county's current position on this is that they're probably going to be putting that out to bid for a developer. You could certainly bid on that process, but they expect to be made whole on their into profit.
Do we not have lost revenues in there? That's the part I don't understand with the county.
Yes,
they didn't get their money, they end up with the thing, but we didn't get our money either.
No, it's not on the roll because they, in that particular case, they don't pay ad valorem taxes. We could conceivably charge them non-ad valorem assessments, that same $4 per acre. Presumably they would pay those in order to hope to recoup their cost to demolish the old hotel, which I'm told were about $580,000.
Yeah, their costs are demolition costs.
Right, but we had how many $1 million? We had a ton of money owed to us from back tax that we didn't get anything out of. So why can't we file something against that and they can come and deal with the county?
Dealt with through the tax certificate process.
Yeah, if there's a tax lien on the old hotel site, I don't know. We would have to research that.
We can review, but basically the tax certificate process usually guarantees that the taxes are dealt with in the.
Yeah, I think what happened there was that, investors will come to the auction every spring. If you don't pay your taxes, somebody will. And they bid a rate of interest on their investment. And my understanding was that at some point, no one would bid on the unpaid taxes of the old site. So it automatically defaults to county ownership. Whether the county would be responsible to pay non-ad valorem assessments under that transfer of ownership, I need a little help with the attorney to see what's our basis for that.
Just doesn't seem right though, that the county can try to
It's
get
not
their
right.
money
The
back
process
out of it, and we are left with nothing.
Yeah.
In a way, both of you have what I'll call tax style losses, right? Because they also, you are all paying unincorporated color taxes as well.
Right.
So you both have that into it. They just have these hard costs as to the demo but as far as right and fair and all of these things, these are excellent comments for your commissioner. I know, but that's what I have to say, right? I mean, you have an elected commissioner, it's by district. He is obviously aware of this situation, and maybe that's not so much a comment for the board, but maybe those in the room. I mean, the commissioner needs to understand that this is an important parcel to you all. At the very least, if they were going to take it out to bid, I would imagine that you all would be in some way consulted. It's in your community, so whether or not they outright gave it to you is different than just keeping you a part of the conversation.
Neil, what's the best way to stay on top of that? How can we be right on top of that? So if we get an opportunity to get our nose in there, we can.
I spoke to the deputy county manager on some unrelated items at the beginning of the month. I went over and had a meeting with him, and I brought this up. There's no current activity to develop a request for proposals or qualifications, but I will tell you, Zach can do a little bit of research to see that when ownership transfers as a result of what's called a sheetment, meaning nobody paid for the taxes at the auction, do we still have a claim for a non-ad valorem assessment? And could we add it back to the assessment? And if I knew that, then I could go back to the county and say, look, this is what's coming. And, if you guys have any plans to go out for proposals from developers or interested parties, I just need y'all to update it and put our request in writing. If we need to, we could actually do a public petition of the county commission. And we've never done that in the time that I've been here, but we could actually have a full discussion of this at a regular county commission meeting through their public petition process. So let's do it a step at a time. If you'll do a little research on...
Yeah, the background on that, and I'll double check as to non-ad valorem, but the general rule that you all benefit from, by the way, is that when a government holds vacant property, it is not taxed. It is assumed to be for municipal purposes.
But this isn't a tax, this is an assessment.
I'll see if there's a...
We need to just research that legal theory. And when I have that, then I'd be happy to go back to the county, or we can actually petition the county to discuss this at a regular board meeting.
Right, we should do that. I hate to see that get sold.
Okay.
What is the builder going to do with the 6 acres? If we could take it and do something bigger with it, it'd be way better.
Just got one other thing, and because everybody's always talking about there's nothing to eat out here or whatever. What about, would a food truck need a permit to come out here, or how would that work? Say there was somebody that was interested, I don't know, out here in the morning for the coffee, or out here in the afternoon, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
There's a state preemption that allows food trucks to operate within jurisdictions. So this is a zoning question, this is a county zoning.
Well, I mean, where would they park, where would they go? I don't know whether they'd be allowed to set up or anything else.
So there's basically, this is a question for the Collier zoning ordinance. So presumably in the commercially zoned parcels, there would be a way for this to happen.
So like in a marina parking lot?
I don't understand.
Hotel parking lot?
Hotel parking lot.
So it's obviously something, so I say it that way because you as a district don't have zoning authority, and so there's nothing you can do to make it more or less likely to happen. It's the county has to authorize it. But the actual business owners here, the food truck owners, have to go to the county and get the permission to do it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Let me see first, when they expect to award a bid, an emergency bid for concessionaires, because that, I would think we're in peak season now, and they have revenue tied to their general fund that they're losing because there are no concessions currently being operated.
I just thought food truck would work.
I would think that if they had a valid occupational license and a valid license from the health department to operate a food truck, that they could do that in a commercially zoned district, whether it was owned by the county or the hotel.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Mr. Westerman? Okay. Did he leave?
I'm right here.
you had asked to speak at the very end under public comment.
Good, thank you.
You're good. Mr. Mazurko, are you still here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you would.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've been here for about 4 years, and I got, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm in small government. Been 8 years in my hometown in Ohio. We got a lot of the same bullshit that's going on with you guys with the taxes and that kind of stuff. Taxes aren't going to go away, because if you stop property taxes, there's going to be other taxes. It doesn't matter if you're retired or if you're still working, there's going to be other taxes. What we need to do is work with our states, which what we're doing in Ohio, to put a cap on taxes and to put a cap on senior citizens taxes too for property owning and that kind of stuff. So hopefully, I was hoping that, the young lady would have stayed here, that I got to speak to her a little bit. I'd like to thank Catherine for bringing up some information that she brought up. But I'd really like to thank the board for, like I said, I've been on here 4 years, and 2 years under the previous board and 2 years under this board. Again, I'm in local government for my hometown and a trustee in the town. It takes a lot of work to get things going. It doesn't happen overnight in government. It's very slow. You guys only meet once a month. We meet 4 times and then special meetings. So to speed things up of that fact. The landscaping out there, that used to be what I used to do for a living. And then hearing that, some irrigation problems, I would think that you probably want to go to some type of desert landscaping out there where it's stone. I know we got problems with water. It's hardening water, rust. So you may want to go to some type of stone out there that's tannish or something, so you do get irrigation out there. You want to probably go to a desert. That's a lot of money to be spending out there, and I'm sure you guys realize that. So, if you're going to do something out there, just grass isn't going to cut it because it doesn't look good. That'll look like the rest of the state's things. So, if you do something out there, I hope you guys do take in consideration of that stuff. But the biggest thing is that we need to stay transparent. If you guys can do that, that'd be great. One gentleman offered something that, we don't live down here and we can't vote for the CID board. I would love to see some type of resolution. I don't know what you guys can do for amendment, or, I don't know who I need to speak to over this end. Some type of amendment so that we can do voting for that kind of stuff. The people that are here, I know, behind me, there's a lot of people that, they get upset. That's just part of nature. You're always going to have that. But being transparent in that, and then being a part of the government is good. The website, I do agree, needs to be a little bit updated, a little bit more information on there, breakdown of all that kind of stuff. But that takes time and that takes money. So the gentlemen, they don't do it for free. So I think we need to try to update that. Good communication. And that kind of stuff, and be able to take public comments on that too, so that everybody can see the comments. Just because when they send them to you guys, public record requesting, all that stuff takes so long, but if they can get some on the website and that, so other people can see some of it, because next door is not the way to go, because people can come out of anywhere on next door.
And actually, for what it's worth, the website gets updated monthly because we upload the agendas in advance with the backup information, and the financials get uploaded in advance of the meeting, and then they get uploaded with adopted minutes.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the minutes and that. I'm just talking about some comments that people can, go on the website and email the website and be able to have that kind of communication.
Yeah, could we have like a bulletin board or something? You know what I mean? Where they can people can just post things like that, just chronologically is maybe done.
And I don't think people should do it anonymous either.
No.
I think if someone wants to have a voice and work with you guys, they need to state their address and that kind of stuff, and that, because people can hide behind the keyboards, but the true transparency is being them transparent too, is being the same transparent as the board. So those only things.
I had trouble getting in that Apple thing you got me, because I never dealt with Apple before, so I was getting the freaking emails, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, like I said, it would be good if you guys can look into it. I know you gotta put a budget together for that. I mean, it might be $3,000 or $4,000 to upgrade.
We have a budget. I might have to give it a little thought. If we had like a community comment section.
Yeah, and then that we could look at, I mean, it's a lot easier for me to go to the website, and then if I could somehow communicate a response, or if it's something was directed to me, I had more chance to see the math than
Yeah,
what it is
there
now.
are some sunshine law implications if supervisors begin to comment on.
They're not allowed to comment on that,
They
yeah,
can't.
but they can read it.
They could read it, but you have that issue, and then frankly, any and all of those, including profanity or threats and whatnot, it becomes a public record that I have to keep for perpetuity. So
Your Facebook page.
You're gonna get public records if someone sent that to an email or you guys had intercommunication
yeah, but
with each other.
I'm just saying, if we had a community bulletin board for people to be able to broadcast their comments through the district's website, I'd need to give it a little thought.
Or you screen those off, the profanity ones in here. You have a list on there that we got 5 profanity ones we had to keep you off of it. I mean, but at least everybody in the group here can see a lot of the stuff that's going on. I think that would be important to everybody.
Anything else?
No, like I said, I think these guys are here. Again, there are a lot of senior citizens, but unfortunately, this world, small government's the best way to be. This is the best type of government here. Because anything bigger, run by the county, run by that kind of stuff, you're only just a number. So if we could stay the way we are, and I know the taxes are high, unfortunately, they're everywhere. They're in Ohio that way, they're in that kind of stuff, so.
Thank you.
All right.
You know, while we're talking about the website, I believe it still says that the meeting is in Port Control. You might have to change that on the website.
I thought it had been changed, but
Someone was telling me this morning that I'll verify that.
if you would, your next meeting is early. The third Friday is early next month. It's January the 16th, so if you'll make that known. Yep.
Hang on just a second, we have one.
Yeah, I have one last comment, sir, you're gonna check into the status of the marine store. I guess, when I was up here before, I'm more excited, or if we could be more energetic or more aggressive and say, hey, the CID wants to manage that store, not go to the county commissioners and just find out what the status is. This can happen, they let out the bids and then what have you. If we could just say, hey, we need this store here all the time for the residents of the community and the people that come in here, and not be waiting on contracts and so on and so forth.
Hey, Neil?
I just want to make that.
Neil?
I just want to make that clear.
Neil?
Yes, sir.
Our charter would not allow for that, would it? I don't believe the CID would have the authority to run a business like that.
We have a very narrow scope, and I'll have to confirm whether you can run it. But even if you could run it, we'd have to do a lot of thinking through how we are funding that and making those decisions, because you have nothing else in your operational wheelhouse that's like this. And so we would have to think about what that specifically means. Are you hiring an employee? Are you contracting out to a third party? But preliminarily, I can check the charter and make sure, but it is a huge possibility that you can't do it under the charter. But even if you could, we have to really think carefully about how you would do it. And we need a budget amendment.
Yeah,
Guys, yes. There's a lot of commercially zoned locations here in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we'll need your name and
Kyle McKenzie, I'm in Adventure Paddle Tours, Mountains and Mangroves, the kayak company that's in and out, been here for 8 years. The property y'all just bought across the canal, that's zoned C4. It's a great location for a convenience store, ship store. The marina's owned by the county, that's C4. This is RT. C4 across the street, that's Scott. Parking lots are C4 across the street. Just yesterday I got a CO for a space here on the property, and hopefully we'll be able to offer coffee and stuff for people in the mornings. We'll be moving that business into that space this week. The marina lots, that's also C4, so technically a boat could motor up to a slip and they could serve coffee there. But I wanted to add, just kind of talking to the slips, y'all potentially were talking about adding charges to commercial slips. There are a lot of workarounds. We launched at the boat ramp, we have a commercial use permit with the county. The county charges commercial use permits. Any business can come in, they can launch from the boat ramp, and they wouldn't be paying the fees that y'all are potentially talking about adding to the commercial slip holders. So if y'all do add commercial fees to slip holders, it'll make it more expensive for the residents that operate out of those slips. And it'll incentivize companies coming in from elsewhere and just launching from the boat ramp, and they're not paying those fees. The other workaround is commercial users, if they have a business like the Manatee Tour Company, all they have to do is leave that boat and park at the county seawall, and they pick people up that way, and they tell you that that's not a commercial slip. But the county charges commercial fees, and then I don't know if y'all are aware of this, Scott Preppin charges commercial fees at the marina as well. So when that property was sold to the county, the ship store, he took over commercial regulation companies at the marina. He charges anywhere from $300 to $400 a month for a commercial use fee at his marina. So there are people getting charged or getting that money already, and so the small business owners in this area are getting those charges. But the CID and the community might not be seeing those charges.
If I could ask a question about your Collier County commercial use permit.
Yeah.
Is that a county-wide permit or is it specific to this launch?
Countywide. They do ask you every year you apply, you select the boat ramps that you launch from. They've limited it, they put a moratorium on it during COVID, so we're grandfathered in, we've had it previous to 2021. They're not giving any extra permits out, but they're limiting those permits, so those businesses that do hold those permits are gonna be worth more money down the road.
But when you apply, you tell them which launch you're using?
You check, so we always check all of them because we do launch in Rookery Bay, we launch in Island Capri. But then you also, commercial users are supposed to pay a launch fee. So they park at the launch fee, $5 or $10. For us, it's $5 every kayak, so regularly we're paying $45 a day. We also launch in the federal refuge, so that's, we get, tapped both ways. But then the county also charges, and then people go and park across the street on private property, but the county is still charging money, and the people are unknowingly parking across the street. So the county is getting money.
I have a quick question. Are you a resident of Port of the Islands?
Part-time.
Well, either you have tax ID numbers or you don't.
So your question is, does my business license, because that's a separate question.
No, my question is, do you pay property taxes in Port of the Islands?
No. So what's the real question?
Well, I'm just wondering, you're coming to the meeting and you're telling us what you think that we should be doing. It's different, and you go online and you say things, but you don't have any dog in the fight.
Well, I don't think I've suggested anyone does anything. I've just been adding facts and information to the...
And I was just asking a question because if there's available data as to how many commercial operations are using the county boat ramp, perhaps that would be helpful data in Mr. Wyer's analysis about that parcel. Because it is true that the county facilitates a significant amount of commercial businesses out of all of their boat ramps. And those businesses have significant amounts of traffic. So I think that would be worth putting on the research pile of what is the true impact of that parcel on the community if the county is not only bringing all of these businesses to that boat ramp, but then being paid for the businesses coming to the boat ramp within your community. I think it's just worth noting that from a data point standpoint. That was the point of my question.
But I would like to add too, that there are separate types of stakeholders here. It's not just single owner landowners. We do provide a service. We get a lot of residents, their kids coming to town, we offer that service. We're about to open this new store that will provide coffee. I've already talked to a few of the guys, I talked to Frank about offering coffee. So I am personally providing a service to these residents. I challenge you, Steve, to let us know what services you've provided here other than being on the board here. Okay.
Anything in conclusion?
Just there's a lot of information here that I can add to with the commercial, the residential. There are multiple lots where the ship store type services can be opened in this community. The guardhouse, potentially one of them. There are places.
Why are you calling that the guardhouse? That's
It
always
used
been
to
a
be a
sales
guardhouse.
center.
Okay, the sales center.
It used to be.
The sales center.
There used to be a guardhouse when I moved here in 2002.
I think we know what building you're talking about.
I only have one more question. You said the county-owned seawall. Is that the one that's just in front of the marina? Where's the county?
Yeah, so it starts, the big boat, the 40-passenger boat, that's privately owned. It ends right at the back of that boat, and then the fish cleaning station towards the boat ramp. I think they own the wooden dock as well, but that stretch is county. Yep.
I didn't know they owned that anymore.
Yeah, they own that. That's labeled, and it's difficult to look at the paper trail, but the maps do have pretty good descriptions or whatever. You can see which map is attached to what.
So then who owns the rest of the seawall? From when you said the county owns the seawall up to a certain point?
Yeah.
Then who owns the rest of the seawall going south of St. Louis?
48 Islands.
I think there's an
Marina
HOA attached to the marina owns that seawall.
It'd be the 48 Islands
Marina
community.
owns the seawall?
The marina HOA, I believe, owns the seawall moving from the big boat towards the corner of the main canal.
Okay, so then it goes to the edge.
Yeah.
Now, from that edge point, then we go to the right,
Yeah.
I mean to the left.
The
So, like
seawall,
you said,
that seawall there is not designated to have dock space. I think it's public land below the water there.
No,
but
this is slip H1.
That's
We're
well,
not
each one's over
this
here.
if we don't get closer to
The
the
corner is, the land is owned privately by AT Investments,
Right.
but the water itself, that stretch there is not privately real estate owned.
So you say AT Investments that owns from this corner here,
I think just for record purposes, or
So they can hear you if you can get up on the X, then.
we're not gonna hear him. We're not gonna, I think if there's just general
And
questions.
if we can keep this pertinent to
Yeah.
today's business meeting and not sort of,
You can talk to them after.
yeah, feel free to talk to him or ask any questions that you would like.
But I've spent a lot of years researching all the zoning stuff. I've tried to do different businesses here, and things have been shut down for whatever reason. But I've got a lot of information on that stuff, specifically the marina. I think if y'all have questions about that, I could be helpful with that.
Thank you.
So-
Any final other public comments? Yes, sir, if you would, I need you to come forward and give us your name and your residence if it's applicable.
Morning, sir. Hi, good morning. Rob Bierman, 179 Evening Star K. We live in house. We've lived here about a year. Very complex board compared to what I'm used to from HOAs and complex condo associations. A lot of issues here this morning. I came to understand the water better because in social media and everything else, I was like, well, I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, fabulous job. I just wanted to commend the board. Thank you very much for all of your efforts. From what I heard from Complexities today, and I was construction and other companies up north before we came down here. The issue that I hear is this is a utility matter. As the cost was allocated for us, yeah, I see $88 or so in terms of cost increase from 24 to 2025. But as a construction person from my background, the reality isn't relative to the value of your property. It isn't like, I don't view it as a tax, I view it as a utility. There is the cost of water going into the house is only one thing. It is a line that comes down the road, goes into the house, it terminates. I own from that line then going in. It's my responsibility. Doesn't matter how many bathrooms you have, doesn't matter how big your house is, and then there's a line coming out for sewer. Those are the only two costs. Doesn't matter if you're in a condo, doesn't matter if you're in a house, it's the same for everybody. I think the board did it correctly. I just want to applaud you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, sir, white t-shirt.
My name's Gary Bello. I live over at Stella Maris, and just concerned if anybody, knows that we're getting robbed over there. It's a boating community. Our boats getting robbed. All electronics are getting out, and just wondering I know you talked about the gates and all that. That's fine, but some kind of immediate deterrent for these guys, because it's very easy pictures. I get a camera, and you can kind of see them, just taking their time with the flashlights and all of that. But I think being, a desirable neighborhood, if you're getting robbed all the time, it's not going to be as desirable. And it's a boating community, and if these things are happening, we got to take some kind of stance on some kind of motion lights or something without complaining about it's hitting my living room or this and that. So I just want to know if there's any kind of plan, and also if you're aware of all the robbery going on. There's a lot of thieves.
We actually
They
had,
come in like it's nothing.
we had the sheriff's department here, I believe it was 2 months ago.
They were actually here last week, and we got into public comments before I got into my last supervisory request, or your answer would already been answered.
Well, I talked to the cops. They were there at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 days ago, 4 o'clock.
I know I was one of those.
Okay, so I was speaking with them, but their concern is they walk around the whole bulkhead there, and there's 3 motion lights. And they said it's so dark, it's so easy for them to rob you. And I believe all of us have to be aware of, at night, if there's a stranger, either you call the cops, or you gotta know the people in your neighborhood. Where I grew up, it's like, who strangers come in, you question them, what are they doing there? Who's out at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning? I got cameras, I see it. Every 3 weeks they come and rob us.
Right.
So, you see this happening, and I'm looking at things a little differently now, but they're always coming by, but nothing seems to be going on. And I don't know if this is the time and the place for this. I'm just speaking my thing about the community, about you're not going to have a community if there's going to be more robbery. And also it turns into other things, hitting people over the head. I know this. So it just gets worse and worse. We got to put a stop to it, as best as we can, and work together as a community, not just rely on the cops to come.
Right. On the light situation, just to give you an example, they entered my boat. I have no lights, but I have a camera. You could see them, you couldn't make them out because they've got masks on. They had flashlights, and being that they had to hold a flashlight, they stripped the last crew. Couldn't get my unit out. I also have a little alarm, and it didn't phase them at all. It probably went off the whole time. They went to the neighbor's boat, completely stage lights. They were on stage, the lights were as bright as could be. They completely stole all their stuff under light.
Right.
So these guys are very brazen.
Yes, they are.
And I talked to the police officers, and I actually talked to them about, we have a community petition of over 160 signatures, and these people are looking for what we're going to do about security. And they agree that a gated community is 35% less crime, because it makes a statement. It has the license plate readers, the cameras, and everything. And so you control everything that happens by land. And that's where most of our robberies are coming, so.
But also, he was saying about that every building that's there has a motion light. If it's all lighted all the way through, it's gonna deter people.
Yes and no. I saw the thief standing on the dock behind our place. I have a motion detector that goes off. It's a silent motion detector. It's a little unit that sits next to the bed, and it goes off. If somebody's out there in the middle of the night, wakes you up. I walked out to the night, looked, and a gentleman was standing on the dock looking my way. The one thing I don't like is that motion detector has a little idiot light on it, so that when it goes off, the thief knows that he's been busted. Even though he can't hear the alarm ring upstairs in the unit, he knows it. So in the dew, you could see in the dew where he walked. When he got onto my dock, he walked down 3 steps, saw the motion detector, and booked. All right? And he ran over to the neighbor's dock and then stood in the dark over there waiting to see what was going to happen. And when I seen him, I think he might have seen me too, because my wife called 911 and I headed out the door. And he bolted. They got pictures of them running.
Yeah, I got a video of him.
Running the other way, okay? Because that spooked him. So he stood in front of cameras, all the neighbors have pictures of him standing in front of the camera, didn't care. He's got his mask to here and his hat to here. This is how much you see of that guy. All right, he doesn't care. He stood right there and looked at the cameras while it took his picture. Motion lights, they came on bright all over. People talk about them.
Well, not really all over.
He still
There's
stole
not a
it.
lot. There's one.
Okay, but he still stole. He still stole the stuff in the lights. So I talked to the sheriff's department at length the other night. There was 3 or 4 of them there. We were standing in the driveway talking. They said that the motion detectors are a really good thing. He said if you can call 911 while they're breaking into that stuff, leave it. Just let them go. You don't have to go outside. Just call 911 and say, hey, there's somebody out on the dock. And I didn't want to do it that night because I thought, when I first saw him, I thought it was one of the neighbors that walks down late sometimes with a cigarette, you know, and he's I wasn't sure, so I didn't want to call 911 right away. But the sheriff said, call 911. I said, well, what if it's just the neighbor? He said, well, come and take care of it. All right? So 2 nights later, the alarms went off again. My neighbor on the corner has one too, his went off. He called me, he said, my alarm's going off. I looked, I didn't see anybody. I said, well, I'll go outside and take a look. He already called 911. By the time I got outside, the sheriff was already talking to some kids that came down fishing at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, and they got trespassed. In other words, they got told, they got written up, nothing happens to them today, but if they come back into the port again onto those docks, they get arrested.
Well, if they're fishing, that's one thing.
Well, you don't know
Most
that.
of these kids at 2 o'clock in the morning are fishing. They shouldn't be fishing.
So, I guess some of the best things that the officers were saying is that if you can put up motion detectors and you can notify the police when they're there, the only way you're gonna get these guys is to catch them doing it. All right, and that's gonna take something like a motion detector that rings next to your bed or something, and they're cheap, they're 15, 20 bucks. But anyway, you can put those in and then call 911 and maybe we can catch them. But cameras, lights, gates, yeah, they're all nice. I'm not gonna say I was for gates last time if you wanna put them in. That's not the point. The point is that they're only a small amount effective, right? They work, but we gotta be together as a community and catch these guys or gals doing it. That's what we have to do.
All of us have to do that, and again, about somebody just be aware, if I was walking and I lived there, I wouldn't tend to walk there at 2 in the morning. Because I'd be honest with you, somebody's gonna get hurt by one of us, homeowners that are there, and see somebody walking by, you know.
Well, just call 911. They'll come
Well,
out
you
and-
can if you want, I'm gonna try to catch you, okay? That's me. But I'm not gonna by the time you call 911, they're
Can't
going.
argue with you there.
You know, I think if we all get together and just say, if we do see somebody, whether you yell or something, these guys.
Well, you don't wanna, that's the last thing you wanna do is scare them away, because we
Well, if
won't
anybody
know their names, we won't have a license plate number.
Well, something, they could be sitting out on 41 parked out there, and walking across, they don't have to be, that's why I'm saying the plate reader, that's all great. I'm for it all, I think anything you could do, the safety is the way to go, but I mean, they could just, you almost got robbed, right? So,
As a police officer.
As
My motion didn't go off that night for whatever reason, so I didn't know till the next morning, but
Me too.
normally it does.
Right, me too, also, and I hooked up a Bluetooth to my.
Maybe I was just sleeping hard, I don't know.
So
But
one
I'm
of
just thinking something has to be addressed to it that's immediate, more than just wait for a vote on gates or vote, because we're gonna keep getting robbed. And your property value, I wanna come live in a place that's getting robbed all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not against the gates. The officer did say they dusted some of the units looking for fingerprints, right? They said no fingerprints, the guy had gloves on. All right, so he had gloves on, he had his mask on, he knew what he was doing. If he's gonna drive his car into the park to get the stuff, if he's smart enough to do all that, I'm quite sure he's not gonna have his license plates open for you to see. Either they're off or
But
something.
they're professionals, they
But
know.
the gates will help, it will deter some people.
Deterrent, right? Anyway, we can try to get together on that before,
I'd like to say something real quick, please. Sorry. My name's Glenn Jensen, I live in Orchid Cove side. I watched or listened to a lot of the next door comments and all these other things that go on.
The problem is a lot of the things people are suggesting are reactionary. There has to be a proactive, right? A lot of people up north, you have Austin, you got your security cameras on, but guess what? You're up north, your camera goes off, you're sleeping. If it's not activating and waking you up at night, it's useless. Because we already know, like you mentioned, they're coming in, mask over the face, you're not seeing them. So you're finding out at 8 o'clock in the morning when you get up and look at your phone, you got an alert. So it has to be more of a proactive reaction to what's going on instead of saying, oh, if we do this, we'll. Because to be honest, I forget I run a home watch business also. One of my customers last week, they got their $2,000 garment stolen off their boat, right? We can react, cameras, spot them, oh great. Guess what happens when you catch them? Absolutely nothing. Because they're not millionaires. So they're taking that $2,000 camera and they're selling it within a couple of days. So what are you going to get back? The guy probably gets a month probation somewhere, but you'll never get your stuff back. So unless it takes a proactive approach to it, it's not going to change.
Kevin, anything else? Your next meeting, if you would, I need to leave to be back in Naples at 12:30. If you have other comments that you'd like to share with either me or the board members, I would ask you to do so. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Go ahead, Dale. Two things. First of all, I wanted to talk on the
I need
store.
your name for the record.
Dale Woodhouse. I want to talk on the store. Now, we've had numerous correspondence with our wonderful Commissioner Locastro, who feels that the store, which is part of 4 stores, some of which are not as lucrative as ours, and they expect that they will carry the money from our store over to the other store. So when they bid all this stuff out, the first bid that they wanted was $17,000 a month to run the 4 stores, so they bid. He feels that this is a cash cow, that this is, and you can, when you talk to him, he'll tell you how lucrative it is and everything else, except no one else can maintain it. You know, they can't make a go. And the second part was about the theft at the docks. People recommended putting sensors in the boat and everything. Well, that's fine, but myself and Frank and maybe one other person are the only people here half the year. What about the other 10, 12 boats? Who's gonna maintain the sensors when they go off? Who's gonna listen to it? It recommended these screeching alarms. Well, I can imagine 4 or 5 screeching alarms going off, and I'm the only one here. So I really think that the gates, aside from the insurance benefits to the people, if it helps your community, if you're a gated community, I mean, it just stands to reason your real estate values are going to go up. And plus, it, like you said, it's a great deterrent. That's all.
Thank you, Dale.
My name's Mrs. Ramos, and I've been here since Mrs. Ramos.
Get it?
I've been here since 2008, before the river boards were here. I want to know, what did the county actually purchase for the over $5 million they paid for the ship store and the fire department? If they bought no boat slips, I don't understand what did they buy for over $5 million.
Yeah, we're not actually part of county government. We're a special district created, and so we don't have anything to do with boat ramps, boat docks, zoning, law enforcement. But
well, because if the ship store is closed, then what was the purpose of buying it?
Well, the ship store, my understanding, is just closed about a month ago, and they're in the process of hiring a new concessionaire to operate all of their boat ramp and ship store and bait facilities countywide.
Okay, also, if you're going to build a community center, is it going to be above the base flood elevation according to FEMA AE standards? The electricity.
Yeah, we've only had a rendering and a floor plan of what it could look like, but we had it 8 feet over the flood elevation that is out, the existing finished elevation there now. The building plans that we had were 8 feet over that. And they had elevated generator pads that were also 8 feet over the finished floor elevation.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
January 16th. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you.
Basically,